Well, good morning, everyone. The reason Patty gave me such a great testimonial is because I did all the other stuff wrong for most of my life, and I learned that the only way to get it right was to practice the principles. So today's talk is about a couple of books here. The first one is Stress is a Choice, and the other one is The Highest Goal. Now, I urge you to go out and buy these, and hopefully I'll offer you a deal a little later on that will entice you to do that, because I'm only going to cover a few of the core things. We're going to go deep on a few of the core ones. Am I holding this? Need this? How do I do it? Pull it down. Okay. So the deal is that you need to go out and buy it to get the full brunt of it, and that way you'll really learn how to surrender stress as a choice. Also, when you leave here today, there'll be a handout at the door that practitioner Billy will be handing out to give you something to take home and put on your refrigerator that will help you actually walk the talk of what we're learning today. So first, let's understand clearly why it's so important for us to avoid stress. Now, I'll be a little bit preaching to the choir here. You know that stress causes disease, depression. It's linked very closely to cancer and diabetes. And we often find ourselves saying we feel stressed out. And so it's become the modern day civilization plague, if you will. And it's contagious. Like, raise your hand if you've never felt stressed out. I rest my case. No hands went up. So in the affirmation reinforcement style established by Reverend Kathy Hearn a couple of decades ago, we're going to repeat an affirmation altogether. The affirmation we're going to say is, I am learning to surrender stress as a choice. Okay, all together now. I am learning to surrender stress as a choice. That was pretty good. We only have to do it one more time. I am learning to surrender stress as a choice. Now I got it encoded in your short-term memory, and by the end it'll be hopefully in your long-term memory. We'll start our journey with one of the Science of Mind foundational principles. You finish this sentence for me. Change your thinking? We're on board here. So this talk is about changing your thinking and your behaviors so that you not only reduce stress, you avoid it altogether. It's just not there. So to get us started on our journey, here's a 15-second clip from a DVD from the book Stress is a Choice. Hit it, Adrian. Cut. Thank you. Now, I like this quote. This is a good quote. Take this scene, for example. Living in Southern California, we often find ourselves in this situation. Now, raise your hand if you sometimes feel a little bit frustrated or stressful in this situation. Okay, good. Now, I noticed there were a few people that didn't raise their hand. Now, here's the deal with them. They have found a way to do what I call have stress-free quality renewal time in this situation. Or they were just too lazy to raise their hand. Now, so Alan, come on, what do you mean by quality renewal time and stop-and-go traffic? Give me a break. Okay, I'll explain. Everybody here is well-versed in the science of mind core truth, God is all there is. So for those people that didn't raise their hand, and they weren't too lazy to do it, they found a way to renew one or more of their aspects of godliness during that time. The aspects of our godliness are heart, body, mind, and soul. Our heart is to love and be loved. Our mind is our thinking, feeling, remembering, creative, and decision-making tool. Our body is our form, which houses our heart and our mind in this incarnation of eternity. And our soul is the indestructible and eternal spirit, our connection to the oneness of God. So, for example, renew your mind and your soul in this thing. You could be listening to spiritual talks on your car CD, some from Patty, for instance. Or you could be listening to a spiritual book like The Four Agreements, narrated by Peter Coyote. Don Miguel Ruiz is the author. That is a really good choice. In fact, if you listen to those four agreements deeply, and he goes very deep, and you can do it in this traffic, you will really, if you can master those, you're golden. You'll be up here giving that talk. And so nearly everything that you consider out there as something valuable, but you don't have time to sit down and read it because we're in this, rush life. You can get it on an audiobook from Amazon.com. It takes moments. Now, you can also get it on your Kindle. Now, I claim to practice an abundance mentality versus a scarcity mentality. So here's the special deal I was telling you about. I offer to anyone here, you find and buy a spiritual audio book, listen to it, come to me and tell me about it, and I pay you the price of that book, and you give me the book. Okay, and there's more. There's more. This is an infomercial to hype my abundance mentality. I also pay you shipping and handling, okay? And there's more. In addition to any spiritual audiobook, I'll also make the same deal for a book itself, so you can do the hard copy. Now, for your Kindle, I haven't figured that one out, but I did figure out that if you want to come and give me your Kindle, and I buy the book, I won't be offended by that. It's okay. And there's more. This special deal is good any time in my lifetime. And considering I'm pretty old, you may want to act soon. At the very moment I finished writing that last sentence, I thought, hey, I could do this with the big, thick Dr. Ernest Holmes Science of Mind book. And literally, I'm not exaggerating here. I had my computer in my lap because I was writing the talk. I went to Amazon.com, and a minute and 45 seconds later, I hit the transmit. And 15 seconds after that, in my inbox was an announcement that I was getting that book. And here it came 3 days later on CD, and it is fantastic because a lot of us do much better, just listening and letting it soak in than trying to read it. Because if you read it, it gets really heavy. But you can listen. And this you can stop and reverse, and everything. So I advise doing that. So this is one of the things you could take advantage of the deal. Okay. Now, the other good thing about that is that when you come to me with this and I give you the money for it, well, I'm going to pass this on to the Vision Resource Center because I already have it. So that's an added bonus, unless John Kirko decides to auction them, which he might do. Another example of making great use of this spiritual time is if there's another person in the car with you, you can choose to have one of those deep, heartfelt conversations, something that's on your heart, something that's on their heart. Have one of those conversations that we seem to be so busy. I'm glad I don't have my thing with me. But we seem to be so busy texting and talking instead of having real quality conversations. Well, in this traffic, that's a great time to have it, okay? My wife and I often do that. Now, however, though, when I fall off the wagon, so to speak, and I get in that crowd of try to get in the fast lane by frequently changing lanes, I feel stress, and so does she. And pretty soon she says, "Boo knife on, danger, scare me." That's her way of saying you're being an impatient idiot, stop it. And I do. I've learned that the stress generated by annoying my wife is far more stressful than this. And so the adage that you want to take is happy wife, happy life. It really works. And it's a much more enjoyable and peaceful way to live. Now, this is such a classic example of us choosing stress or choosing to stay on our spiritual path, to be conscious that we are an incarnate expression of God, and we can take steps on that eternal spiritual path. Can you imagine Jesus traveling from village to village in a country path, and he says to his burro, "Hurry up, we'll be late." No, you can't. So why, since you're an expression of Jesus, expression of God like he is, why would you do that? Because right away, as soon as you start doing it, you get yourself stirred up, and the other person might ignore you, like the burro, or they might get stirred up too, and all of a sudden the very thing you're trying to do is enjoy life with whoever you're with, and you've already blown it. And that sucks. And I can tell you it sucks because I've done it a lot, and just, as Dr. Phil would say, just stop it, okay? Okay, so the point is that we all have the power to choose to make any situation like the freeway crawl of life a fulfilling and stress-free experience. And I'm obviously having trouble with this mic. There, that's a little better. And choose differently. So you know that when you go to the doctor or any number of other appointments, you're going to wait. So already be preloaded with your iPod or any electronic device, with your spiritual food or your intellectual food, whatever you want to wait. So when you sit down, you're just online. And immediately, you're actually having a good time sitting in the waiting room instead of fidgeting and looking at and doing all that stuff that I used to do. Now, if you get stuck in a situation unprepared, so John, if you want to come up and fix this for me, I don't know if I'll get it, that might do it. If you get stuck in a situation unprepared, you could meditate. Well, you wouldn't meditate here, I don't think, but or you could ask your favorite spiritual leader what to do. Mine is Gandhi, because I've studied him so deeply, so I say WWGD. What would Gandhi do? Now Gandhi, he would probably go on a fast, not eating. But for those of us that are trying to lose weight, that works out pretty well. And I'm always trying to do that. I'm a competitive runner, lose another few pounds. All kidding aside, though, if you actually reframe something in your highest self mindset, the mindset of the spiritual leader that you regard highly, if you reframe it thinking as what that person would do, you will actually make a choice that avoids stress. So the rule we just covered from the book is slow down to go faster. Slow down to recognize the opportunity, here's the opportunity, to feed your mental and spiritual self and act upon it, and you will go a lot faster mentally and spiritually growing than trying to beat the traffic jam of life. Right? Okay. Next rule, choose to be a victor, not a victim. Now this rule shouts out with the science of mind, 4 kingdoms of consciousness that many of you know. To refresh our understandings, because we need it for this rule, Kingdom 1 is the belief that life happens to us. We see ourselves as victims of external forces. Our mindset whispers, why does this always happen to me? And if that sounds familiar, then what you want to do is take the Science of Mind Foundations course from Rev Patty or one of the other practitioners. Kingdom 2 is a consciousness as a belief that life happens by us. We see ourselves as independent expressions of power with choice. We take responsibility for our choices and we behave as adults. In the Kingdom 2 conscious mindset, it whispers, I can control my thoughts and my life. Clearly, this is a major transformation from victimhood to adulthood, okay? Now, Kingdom 3 is a belief that life happens through us. We see ourselves as a divine expression of godliness through which Spirit speaks and acts. Our mindset whispers, it is not I, but God that does the work. And she even said that in her meditation service. Clearly, this is another transformation from adulthood to spirithood, is what I call it. So when you're living here, truly in Kingdom 3, you have surrendered by letting go, letting God. You're familiar with that one. Now think about that. If you're actually letting God run your life, you don't have any stress because God is not in the business of stress. And of course, the not-so-easy trick to that is staying in Kingdom 3. The conscious science of mind teaching that each of us is God. We are it. We are spirit incarnate. The out there where God is us. We are the out there. And the out there is in here. Now, there's no separation of God from us or us from God, except if you forget what I just said. And every time you find yourself acting out in some way, that means you forgot. Okay? I wish I could be as powerful as Dr. Phil and say, just stop that. But that's our work on this, part of our work on this planet. So to complete our refresher of the 4 kingdoms of consciousness, Kingdom 4 is the belief and experience that life happens as us. Our mindset now whispers, I am one with God. And to grasp this kingdom a little bit deeper, think of people like Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, stayed in his God self for 27 years in jail to overcome apartheid and become Minister of South Africa. Buddha, and of course Jesus Christ. A current example would be the Dalai Lama. Now, you've probably figured out by now that Kingdoms 2, 3, and 4 all are choices to be a victor, which is the second rule we're talking about, not a victim. So right now, we're going to do a little exercise to liven it up a little bit. I want you to think of 2 things that are on your to-do, I have-to-do list, either today or in the near future. Just go ahead and take about 5 seconds and think of 2 things that you have to do. 1001. Okay, anybody that couldn't think of 2 things they have to do, they're probably already enlightened. Now, when I say go, not until, I want you to turn to the person beside you or near you and say those 2 things out loud, take turns. Say, I have to do the laundry, I have to wash the car, I have to drop off the kids. Whatever your have-to-do list is, just 2 of them, take turns sharing them. And get ready, get set, and go. Okay, that ought to do it. I know you like to talk, but we'll do that after church. Okay, now everybody has said, I have to do X, I have to do Y. They've said two things. Now, when I say go again, which I will in a minute here, not yet, I want you to do the same exercise over again, but this time instead of saying I have to, you say I choose to. I choose to drop off the kids. I choose to do the laundry. Whatever it is, make sure you use that expression, I choose to. Get ready, get set, go. Mm-hmm. Okay, that ought to do it. All right, so now get your attention back here. You're going to have some fun after church talking to each other, obviously. Now, raise your hand if you felt any of the following three things, and I'll tell you what they are. And if you felt that, then raise your hand. Did you feel a greater sense of control or power when you said, I have to? Did you feel a lesser sense of stress or pressure in your life when you said, I said that wrong. Did you feel a greater sense of power or control when you said, I choose to? Okay. No wonder no hands went up. Did you feel a lesser sense of stress or pressure in your life when you said, I choose to? Okay. Did you have a sense of your life burden being a little bit lighter? Okay. So those who felt these things experienced a shift from Kingdom 1, the I have to mindset, as though you have no choice in your victim circumstances, to Kingdom 2, which is where you're in charge of your own destiny and you have the power to choose to be a victor versus a victim. And now this leads us to the most significant rule from Stress as a Choice. The rule is make it a purpose to know your purpose. This rule is really cool. We feel excitement, exhilaration, and power when we find meaning in our lives. Making it a purpose to know your purpose. This means getting spiritually connected and lifestyle aligned with your own particular life purpose. Your reason for being, your calling in life, your cliche for the number one passion that you have, whatever you want to call it. Everyone has at least one of these, and you have to discover it. It's the thing that fills your heart. It floats your boat. It rings your bell. It's your cat's meow. For Andy Anderson, it is singing with our fabulous Vision House Band led by Mark D., lighting up the listeners with joy and love like we just experienced a few minutes ago. Just 5 days from now, April 24th, Friday, Mark D. will be lighting it up in a major gig. And just because I don't know how to pronounce his last name is no reason to not go see it. See Mark afterward. Okay. Rev Patty's purpose is serving as senior minister of Vision to support each of us to fully realizing the truth of our God self in every way. One of Paul Hemmerling's purposes is developing, leading, and managing the Vision Resource Center to provide with us all we need to be our truest spiritual selves. The purpose for attorney Adrian Paris, back there in the sound booth, is practicing the rule of law to ensure justice and fairness prevails for all his clients. For John Kirko, it's continuously growing vision to be a sacred sanctuary of love, joy, and peace for all who come thither. And for John, it's also serving a tennis ball inbounds at 100+ miles per hour, and his opponent saying, damn! And the observer saying, oh my God. And if Jim Carrey were there, he'd say, smoking. Now, this rule we're talking about, make it a purpose to know your purpose, is a way of surrendering stress as a choice, is actually from this book, The Highest Goal, by Michael Ray. And he says it's the secret that sustains you in every moment of life. And that sounds like a real tall order. It is. And I'm here to tell you, though, it's real. I'm in the secret of life right now as I'm living my highest goal. So what Mr. Ray says is very science and mindy. Quote, the world needs more people who travel the spiritual path toward their highest goal as they face life's challenges. If we get stuck in stress of the daily friction of life, we find ourselves caught up in an insignificant life with limited contributions and little juice, yet plenty of stress. I don't have any stress right now. I got a lot of juice, and I'm not on drugs, but I don't have any stress. Following your spiritual path toward your highest goal gives you zest for life with a song in your heart, unquote. So right now, I'm going to take you on a fast journey to continue to get on your spiritual path. If you're not already on it, if you're already on it, good on you, toward your highest goal, which is the secret that sustains you in every moment of life with little or minimal stress. That secret is the conscious merging of 4 characteristics available to all of us anytime. The first characteristic you're familiar with. It's thinking and walking the talk of science and mind. We've already got a handle on that, or we wouldn't be in this room. And we get it every week from Rev. Patty. So if we live it in our lives, we're good there. Michael Ray calls Walking the Talk of Science of Mind living a principle-centered life. And if you do choose to take the Science of Mind Foundations course, they'll cover 10 core concepts very deeply, and that's totally living a principally centered life. The second of the 4 characteristics is our innate talent. This is what we are born with that comes natural for each of us to do well. We all have one or more of them. Could be teaching, engineering, mathematical, linguistics, musical, mechanical. There's literally dozens, if not hundreds. So now if you've discovered what you're naturally good at and you really like doing it, then you've got 2 and 3. First one, live a principle-centered life. Second one, discover your talent. Third one, you're passionate about it. If you really like doing it, passionate about it, we call that talent and passion. So now the 4th characteristic of finding and living your life, your highest goal, will happen automatically if you're doing the first 3 so well that you're adding value to others' lives from what you do. You're adding, you're living a principle-centered life, you're connected to your talent and your passion, and you're doing it really well, and people actually observe it or experience it, and you're adding value to them. That's your highest goal in life. And you can be contributing in any number of a combination of our 12 qualities, innate qualities of God: abundance, balance, beauty, love, joy, freedom, order, peace, power, unity, wholeness, and wisdom. Any one of those, or a combination thereof. For example, your musical talents may be spreading joy to its listeners, like we had here today. Joy being the key word. Your strength and passionate commitment to your country by serving in the military is maintaining freedom for all those that can protect. Keyword freedom. Your paintings you may be provide beauty to generations that see them. Keyword beauty. Your compassion and empathic listening and responding talents in hospice and other venues are supporting people to find complete peace and their family as they get ready to make their transition to the next plane of eternity. Keyword peace. The point is that as we live our talent and passion for others, we trigger one or more of the 12 innate qualities of godliness in others. So living your highest goal, you're causing other people to actually experience their true self, their godliness. That is our highest goal. That is the secret now revealed that sustains us in every moment of life. How cool is that? Now, admittedly, did you raise your hand? Did you want to say something? Okay. Admittedly, a big challenge is to stay in Kingdom 3, and it's a big challenge also to find your talent and passion. A lot of people have found it, but if you haven't found it, the way I suggest finding it is by an overt action, an overt focused action. I did it by going to a 3-day spiritual retreat called Find Your Life's Purpose, and that's another way of saying making a purpose to know your purpose, which is the rule we're on. It was during that 3 days in December 1998 that I discovered both my talent and my passion. Teaching came up for me out of a couple of dozen different vocations, and that surprised me, and my protagonist's voice said, "Be serious, you're too old, don't be a fool, you can't change careers now." And of course I ignored him. If you've been in the science mind very long, you just ignore that voice. It's always saying stuff that's wrong. And I listened to my spirit's call, and since 1999 I've become certified in 19 different leadership and personal growth classes, including parenting and marriage classes. My favorite being Dr. Stephen Covey's 3-day 7 Habits of Highly Effective workshop, which I've had the opportunity to teach 78 times now to 1,700 people. And in all, I've taught about 300 seminars and workshops to over 6,000 people in the last 16 years. Okay, so now that's me bragging. But my point is, I found a way, this is the point for you, I found a way to serve my highest goal. And we all have the power to do that, to find our highest goal and serve. And if you do it, you're in the secret of life. And it's called making a purpose to know your purpose. So now at age 72, people say, "Alan, when are you going to retire?" And I'm not. Why retire? I'm having too much fun living my highest goal. Why would I want to do that? So from 1965 to 1998, I'd been a computer scientist before discovering my talent and passion. In other words, I went to work for 34 years to make a living, like most of us do. Finally, after discovering my talent and passion at the retreat, I stopped going to work to make a living, and I started going to work to live my making. That's a 180-degree change of thinking, changed my life for the past 16 years. That's what we started with. Change your thinking, change your life. That's how powerful it is. The question we need to ask ourselves, are we living a principle-centered life using our talent for which we have deep passion, and are we doing it so well that we feel a rush from life every day because we're contributing in some way to our highest goal, which is the secret of life? Now, we're surrounded with role models that are doing this for us. Andy and the Vision House Band entertain us using their talent and passion, and we feel joy and gratitude and love. We feel peace from Rev. Patty as she joyously uses her talent and passion to feed us spiritually week after week. We benefit and feel gratitude from John Kirko performing his talent and passion as Chief Operating Officer of this church we call Vision. And if we get sidetracked for whatever reason, meaning we've been triggered to drop out of Kingdom 3 down into Kingdom 2 or even Kingdom 1, we need to have a quick reference tool, a quick technique to remind ourselves of our purpose and our highest goal. My technique is I use a mantra. I inspire people to be all they can be. That's my mantra. And I say it enough times that reconnects me to my purpose, my highest goal. And right now, for this whole talk, I've done my best to inspire each of you to live your highest goal and to embrace the thinking and behaviors that I'm describing so that your life is guided to focus on your talent and passion, so that you are living your highest goal that sustains you in every moment of life, so that you are surrendering stress as a choice, so that you feel frequent inspiration from the continuous fulfillment of your purpose. In some measure this morning, I pray that I have inspired you to be all you can be. And as they say in our we say in our 12-step meetings, thank you for letting me share. Namaste.